Cowboys open up a 3-day mini camp. Inside the Star, they think they have the answers, but they don't exactly necessarily know what the answers are. Let's try to grapple with that ourselves with our top 10 Cowboys mini camp questions. Mike Fisher reporting soon to be from the Star in Frisco right now on assignment. I'll tell you more about that later. Let's go through our top 10. Number one, backup quarterback. Hanging out is what Jimmy Johnson used to call this, when we're at a position and we don't exactly have all the guys we want, and maybe we're going to go a guy short, or maybe we're a little talent short. We don't have any Dak Prescott problems anymore, I promise you. I've seen enough, and so have coaches. This has been, I don't know, something just this side of a miracle, because for all the doubt and all the questions and all the wondering, it's just all gone now for Dak Prescott in a good way. But Garrett Gilbert versus Cooper Rush versus Ben DiNucci versus the veteran quarterback that they did not sign, Jimmy Johnson would call that hanging out, and it's not great. As I say to you so many times about backup quarterback in the NFL, you're the 12th starter. And we'll do another visit on this coming up soon. If you go through the Cowboys position groups, if you think of backup quarterback as a 12th starter, I think it might be by far your weakest spot on this entire team. Item 2, Diggs and who? I think Diggs has had a very good series of OTAs, and it doesn't mean he always dominates his opponent, but he's always got his nose in there, he's always got his head up, and you can see where he's going. I think it's pretty clear. The other cornerback, this is a great example of where we think we have answers, which is why they're not chasing Richard Sherman. I think we have answers, we just don't know which guy it is. They know what they have in Anthony Brown. I know that some people have talked about him as being a cap casualty bubble guy. I don't see it, but we'll monitor that. They know what they have in him, they know what they have in Jordan Lewis, and then along comes all these kids. And hopefully Kelvin Joseph will be able to go, the top cornerback, top defensive back drafted by this group. But Nahshon Wright has had a good camp, and the second-year guy, Reggie Robinson, has been good. There's some answers back there. They just don't know who they all are. Item number 3, Sleek Zeke. You could be a Tony Pollard fan, and you can be in favor of seeing more of Tony Pollard. But if you think that Ezekiel Elliott's not the best running back in this team, you really haven't been paying attention, especially this offseason. Item 4, the linebacker trifecta. And the rookie Micah Parsons, the top rookie, 12th overall pick, talked about the trifecta the other day. And he was just talking about an individual player at linebacker, or anybody on defense really in a lot of senses, and the things that he can do. The 3 things that are available for him to do. 1, tackle, 2, cover, and 3, rush the passer. And he wants to be the guy that can do all 3 of those things. And so far, so good in that regard. But there's another trifecta issue at linebacker too, which is which 3? And really more specifically, although this didn't fit into the trifecta motif, which 2? I've testified to you that while Micah Parsons is the guy that this organization wants to win the middle linebacker job, and then you have Leighton Vander Esch work as the Will, and then you have Jalen Smith work as the Sam. That still doesn't factor in what we're going to do with Keanu Neal, and it doesn't even get us to the other rookie, Jabril Cox. But at practices that I've seen, for the most part, when the Cowboys start 3 linebackers, and then when the Cowboys start 2 linebackers, Jalen and Leighton are the 2. So this is still going to be a bit of a climb for Micah Parsons. The trifecta at linebacker is which 3, and then off the trifecta idea, which 2. Micah Parsons eventually, but maybe not quite yet. Item number 5, just Quinn, baby. And you guys have done a great job having fun with this. Yeah, T-shirts. Maybe we should make T-shirts. There's no question that Dan Quinn has put his imprint on this organization already. It started in the draft. He was influential there, and you can see it at practice. You can see what they're doing. But there's a but. I think there's this idea that just because players love Dan Quinn, and they do, and just because he's energized things here, and he has, that it's all automatically fixed. And that's not the way it works. If it was just Quinn, baby, and that's all it took, then he'd still be in Atlanta as the head coach. So I think we need to tap the brakes a little bit, not on the hopes and not on the expectations of what this team is capable of, but on the idea that Dan Quinn single-handedly has a magic wand that he's going to wave and fix it all. There's a lot of things broken from last year on one of the worst defenses we've ever seen. And to think that the force of Dan Quinn's personality, let alone his scheme, is going to fix all those things, just Quinn baby right now, is a little much. Item 7, making his bones. The Cowboys ownership, and you can think this is a good idea or a bad idea, it just depends whether or not you win 10 games. They give their coordinators a lot of authority here, and that's been going on for quite some time. And now it's true of the special teams coordinator, Bones Fossil. He has basically run out of town any other kickers and run into town Greg Zuerlein. He has now all but announced that Hunter the punter is out, and that Brian Anger, former Texan, that he's going to be the kicker, the punter here. Not that these aren't guys that wouldn't or otherwise win the job, but he's just announcing who's going to win the competition. And the next thing to look for on special teams is he going to go and announce that CeeDee Lamb is going to be the punt returner, which I think is a terrible idea in terms of risk reward. I've never liked it, unless you're Deion Sanders and you're just that particularly special, in addition to being a full-time player otherwise. I don't get it. I don't get the value of it. I don't get the value of having CeeDee Lamb make a bunch of fair catches in a game, and then every once in a while having a 3-yard run in which he gets his head blasted off. But we're gonna watch and see how much authority Bones Fossil has during this minicamp when we watch and see how much CeeDee Lamb returns punts. Item number 8. What if this offensive line's already set? We told you last week that in addition to a slimmer Lyle Collins being back for most of the work at right tackle, that a more flexible Tyron Smith and a happy Tyron back at left tackle after, of course, basically missing the entire season, both of them. Lyle Collins, all 16 games, Tyron, all but 2 games. And then Zach Martin with the calf, who missed the end of the season. He was back in the lineup doing work with the starting 5 last week, and I assume will be again starting today. For all the talk, though, about the other 2 spots, Biadasz is the center. And I don't know that anybody else has even made a push. We'll look for it this week, but I haven't seen it. And then Connor Williams has been the left guard. And I'm sure there has been a push. And I know Brandon Knight took a turn there, and you know, we talk about Connor McGovern, but I've just seen it be Connor Williams. And the next thing you know, this idea of this great competition in the offensive line, it might be almost over, and we're not even to training camp yet. Item 9, sacks education. Now listen, I talk all the time here about how DeMarcus Lawrence can't just be measured by sacks. He plays every down, or he tries to. He plays hard, and he plays well, and then he goes and gets 6 sacks. We talk about how Randy Gregory is, as McCarthy called him the other day, a premium player. Well, okay, a premium player should get premium numbers of sacks. Terrell Basham comes here and talks about how he's a premium player. That's what he makes it sound like. You know, he's a guy that, these are guys that go and get 3 and 5 and 6 sacks. That's not premium. So it's about time with this defense, especially with this organization that invests so much into pass rush, always has. Again, in the case of this now, it's the investment of a high pick in Randy and in Tank, the investment of the money in Tank, the investment of the time in Gregory, and then obviously they drafted Dorrance Armstrong, they drafted Bradley and now they've brought in Basham, not to mention the rookie class of defensive linemen. Somebody get some sacks. And then item 10, and I think this is pivotal, hot for teacher. Coach McCarthy came here last year, from the time he did his job interview with the Joneses to all the times he met with the media privately and then publicly and all year long, saying all of these platitudes about his thoughts on being a gambler as a coach, and his thoughts on analytics, and his thoughts on putting player before scheme. And then none of it really happened. None of it came to fruition in a way that really defined what his real philosophies are. And the only thing that did happen was we discovered that he had people on his coaching staff that weren't very good teachers, and that he had people on his coaching staff, maybe including Mike himself, that wasn't used to having players come knock on the door and say, I don't like what we're doing here, can we talk about it? It was a revelation to him. And that's weird to me after a decade and a half in Green Bay, where I know he had his coach bitching at him all the time. He needs bigger ears, Mike McCarthy does. And maybe the change in coaching staff members signifies that kind of change. But what I'd like to see if I'm a Cowboy fan this week at training camp, I'd like to see again some development of the real philosophy. And let's call it, I don't care about 4-3 or 3-4. I'm talking about the philosophy of player before system. They talk about it. I'd like to see somebody do it, so you as a Cowboy fan can be a little bit more hot for teacher. Fish, out.